What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we got a top 10 song reaction to the band James, brought to us by friend, longtime supporter, and patron of the channel, Ian. Appreciate you, Ian. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us anyway, check out that Patreon link below or the patron link on the end screen. The patrons make this thing go. I don't know a lot about James, but what I do know is I've heard 3 or 4 of their songs, and I absolutely love their songs. Not just like them, love them. For some reason, I've just never explored them. So I was super happy when Ian brought this about. Just a little thing. We're going to have 11 songs, not 10, because Ian told me in a patron message that he was almost done. He just had to eliminate one more and he's having a hard time. I said, just bring it, man. Just bring it. Let's do 11 because I was looking forward to this. A little background on James. First, Ian says, a band who have sold more than 25 million records and had 4 number 2 and 3 number 3 albums in the UK. They recently returned to form and produced some great new work. With 17 albums, more EPs and singles, it's insanely difficult to choose a top 10. So many missed out. I'm going to give you what missed out at the end because if I give it to you now, it'll ruin some of the drama. I found they are an English rock band from Manchester who were formed in 1982. They had popularity throughout the 1990s with 4 top 10s on the UK singles charts and 9 top 10s on the UK albums charts. Following the departure of lead singer Tim Booth in 2001, they became inactive, but reunited in 2017 and have gone on to produce a further 7 albums. So a lot of times when bands get back together, they only put out a few albums and then they just tour. These guys have put out 7 albums. So that's it. We're going to watch a lot of videos in this, and obviously I'm going to play the songs for the videos we don't watch, but the music will not be in the video, but it's going to be at a Vimeo link below. So click on that. That way you can check out these videos, all that good stuff with us. With number 11 on our top 10 list, So Many Ways. Ian says, rewind back to the 1986 album Stutter, their debut, and we have a very youthful looking band. This scrapes in the top 10. It shows off Tim Booth's distinctive vocals. So this is one of most of them we're watching videos on. We're going to watch the video on this one. I'm also going to be checking out the lyrics after the video, of course. Thanks again, Ian. All right, So Many Ways. The song, what it's about, it's just, I don't know, there's so many ways to find where you want to be. Nothing of true substance in the lyrics. There doesn't need to be because, just a great sound. You can tell even this early. And I really enjoyed it, man. Great melody. And there's some good bass work that kind of stood out there in the middle as well. But I mean, I think the story of this one is the director said, hey guys, I got my camera. I only got one. I got some other little camera I'm going to gimmick up on you, Tim, at the start, but I only got one camera. Well, let's go out to this field and let's just see what happens. And Tim, channel your inner Simon Le Bon from the Rio video, which would probably only been 4 years before this. Get yourself a light colored suit, get yourself a hat, and let's go do this. So I think that's kind of what we did here. But it made it entertaining because it's just kind of funny, man. It's just a homegrown video. Let's do it. Boys and girls, I don't know if you hear it ringing, but the phone's ringing and Destiny's calling. Yeah, it was pretty bad, wasn't it? From the 1998, The Best of James, only went to 17 despite an expensive video. I really like this song, Ian says, has a Britpop era feel. So an expensive video, we're going to have the polar opposite of the last video. All right, we fast forwarded 12 years and Ian wasn't lying, man. A very well done video. Expensive, definitely, like all kinds of stuff going on in there. Just the effects, especially for 1998. Thought the song was really good. Destiny calling. I mean, just showing you the ridiculousness of commercialism and what we all fall prey to, or most of us do, especially when we're younger. When you're older, if you're fortunate enough, you start to see it a little bit, and like this stuff doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, just really well done. I thought the video actually enhanced the song and represented the song. It doesn't always do that. Sometimes videos can be great, but they really don't have anything to do with the song. Like this, showing all the different things you can buy and all the people trying to take your money to make you, quote, feel better. Even the stripper coming in to make the guy feel better brings his girlfriend or wife in. Like, it just shows you just how people just try to play with your emotions, right? And when you buy that thing or have that thing, it makes you feel better for a second, but then you lose that because it's not really going to give you true meaning. And so then you either go on to something else and you try to buy more or do more. So I thought it was just really well done. Next up at number 9 from the Gold Mother album in 1990, we've got Come Home. Ian says, the sound of the early 90s, the Flood remix of this song was the more successful, but it would be a shame not to react to the original video. So we're going to do that, not the Flood remix. I found James frontman Tim Booth wrote Come Home about walking away from his partner and son, not knowing if he'd done the right thing. He explained to the BBC that the mother of his first child was also James's manager, and she would send them on tour for months at a time. The singer added, I felt so bad about being away from my son in particular, and I felt a lot of guilt and shame. All right, Come Home. Ian's number 9 James song. I wasn't digging it at first, and the longer it went, the more I liked it. I get it now. Like the catchiness of it was great. Much like the first track in the video, this one just had a little higher budget, right? It's 1990, so it's 4 years later. Got a little higher budget, but not much more than one camera, quick cuts, doing all this kind of stuff. Almost looked like these guys were in Israel on location or something. But it's interesting to watch the time go through and see, especially with Tim, since he's front and center on the how he ages. We're aging him, we're bringing him back. It's pretty funny to watch, man. Next up, we have Zero. Ian says, another song from the All Colors of You, my personal favorite from this album. And this song and the album as whole marked a return to James's finest work. It's from 2021. And this one, we're just going to listen to the song, no vid on this one. All right, Zero, the only song in this top 10 plus one that we don't have a video for. I thought that was fantastic. Right, all these years later, 2020, and remember the first song we watched from 1986. So, I'm not great at math, but 35 years later, and they sound fantastic. And the subject of the song is something you'd expect from an older artist. As we age, we realize he's talking about life, right? Like it goes quick. And enjoy it, because we're all going to die. I mean, that's how we start out. That's his first line, right? We're all going to die. That's the truth. Quit measuring time by money and youth. I thought that's just fantastic. There's no straight line. Time's a slope. And then sometimes I go, no. Sometimes I go, yeah. Sometimes I go, whoa. Sometimes I go, yeah. I just thought it was really well done. Impressed. And a lot of times, boys and girls, the great majority of the time, when a band makes a song or an album 35 years after their debut, it's not that great. That was awfully good. Let's move on to number 7. Sometimes, from the album Laid in 1993. James were at the peak of their popularity in the UK, Ian says, and even starting to receive some airplay in the USA. The video is great fun with some record company money improving the production values. All right, Sometimes. The song itself, really well written, although Tim has said that the chorus doesn't have anything to do really with the rest of the song, that he just wrote it because it had a great melody. I'm going to tell you this much. Kudos to these guys for this video, because that would be miserable, right? It looks cool. That would be absolutely miserable to be in that water for hours and hours and hours, man. But they committed to it, and they looked like they were having fun and were into it. So kudos to that. Good song, good video. Next up, we have Say Something. Ian says, in 1994, we had the beautiful song Say Something from the Wah Wah album. I found it was on the Laid album, reaching number 24 in the UK. Fun video showing Tim is not a shy boy. Uh-oh. All right, Say Something. A really well done video. First, the gorillas being studied by the scientists. Then they're human beings in the cage being studied by the doctors or the scientists. And then I figured that Tim got in his birthday suit, right? Because being totally vulnerable. And that's what he's saying in the song. Like, say something, like this person that he's talking to is not really speaking. And then he's like, take a drug, but once you come off it, you got to say something. But very catchy song. Very well done video on that one. All right, we're to the top 5 of Ian's top 10 plus one, James top songs. We got Born of Frustration. Ian says went to number 13 from 1992's 7 album, number 5 on the Billboard Modern Rock Tracks chart. So a little bit of inroads in the US. All right, Tim's a little frustrated on this one. Born of Frustration. The video, even the song itself minus the trumpet, and we've got an accordion on several songs too, so these guys are really putting in a diversity of instrumentation. But besides the trumpet, a little U2 feel, like this would have been at home on Octone, baby, right? With the video and with kind of the song in there. It's always interesting to see the evolution of Tim's hair, right? Our hair changes over the years, our hairstyles. And so, yeah, really good song. I mean, showing they're out in nature again. So we're getting out in nature. They put these guys in the elements a lot. And then we see the hustle of the city life, hustle and bustle as well. Next up at number 4, we got She's a Star. From the 1997 Whiplash album, has a strong suede feel to it. The band's last top 10 song in the UK, and was accompanied by a polished video, Ian says. I love me some suede, so this one sounds promising. She's a Star, really well done video, right? Great song. Definitely has a suede sound to it. And ironically enough, the girl featured in the video I read was also in a suede video around the same time. So they got that connection full on. But man, Tim, when he gets up in that red show, it really sticks in your head. Fantastic. But like I said, the video was really, really well done to play out the story of the song, right? But all the boys looking dapper in this one. All right, Rarefied Air, we're to the top 3. We got Laid. Ian says the Brian Eno produced song Criminal only made it to 25, despite some great songwriting and Tim Booth's vocal falsetto. I found it's received attention as the theme for the American Pie film series, which I saw the first 3 in the theaters. Yes, I saw the first one like 3 times in the theater. I look back on it now. I watched it like maybe 2 years ago. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't as funny as I thought it was when I was in my 20s, but it's still funny. Originally viewed by the band as a throwaway song and a possible B-side, but Brian Eno soon convinced him of the potential of this track. On the U.S. Alternative Airplay charts, it went to number 3, but interestingly enough, on that all-time list, it's at number 77, so it shows you how long this song stayed around in the U.S. because American Pie was such a phenomenon. All right, Wade, a great song. Obviously, I know this song really well. I own the American Pie soundtracks. I love this song, but I didn't even know who sang it, right? Because it just didn't really register back then. But obviously the most well-known song outside of Britain, but only the 9th most successful song on the charts for him in the UK. So it's always interesting how that works. We only know James from this over here in the States, but a really well done song, right? That falsetto and just takes you through. And I mean, he even talks about, in the 3rd verse, he starts talking about messing around with gender roles, dress me up in women's clothes, put eyeliner on me. So a little advanced for their time back then. But that plays into the video, right? Because the video is really well done. If you look at it and you're not really paying attention, that was some simplistic video. One, it looks like Tim did it in one take. He might not have, but it's great editing if he didn't. But as you look around, in the first verse, he's talking about being obsessed with this girl. Maybe it's the second verse, and his therapist says he's becoming a bore because he's got this one-track mind. But so he's got the handcuff, he's got the knife. I mean, it's a kitchen knife, which he uses to play into the lyrics later on. He's got the knife, throws it down. He's got a TV on in the background, but it's on static. So it all kind of plays together. And then when he talks about being dressed up in women's clothes, that's when you kind of notice he's wearing a dress. So it all just fits so well. So really brilliantly done. Next up at number 2, we got a song that I do know this song as well, just more recently from the channel, right? Getting Away with It All from the 2001 Pleased to Meet You album, only making it to number 22. This song is a great video, and it's a really close second to my favorite. Ian says, if I was to rate this, it would be a 10. And this song is very much open to interpretation, and depending on the way you process the words, it could be a warning against overindulgence, a look at surviving life on the edge, or a commentary on how you can always turn your life around. Tim Booth, who wrote the lyrics, has explained that the character Daniel in the song saves a woman named Grace from drowning and adds, he doesn't realize that in saving her, he's really saving himself. A brilliant, brilliant song and a brilliant video, which would have taken forever to edit and put together and get these people and play the song for them so they could get their part just right on the miming or the lip syncing, just fantastic. And interspersing, even one of the guys that was talking had the cover of the James album on his t-shirt. So a lot of nice touches here. But, like the intro, are you aching for the blade? That's okay, we're insured. Are you aching for the grave? That's okay, we're insured. And just that refrain, we're getting away with it all, messed up. That's the living. I mean, this is a brilliant song, just a brilliant song. All right, we're to number 1. We got to Sit Down. Remember, I've heard number 2 and number 3. I've heard Wade and Getting Away with It All. I've not heard this song. Ian says, nice video with the rather literal interpretation of the song, but it works pretty well. This is one of those songs that got so much radio play in the UK, everyone knows it, and it almost makes you tired of it. But it's a great song, and nostalgia powers it to my number 1. That's one of the things that I respect about Ian. He does this on his list. I'll see some people oh, I don't ever want to hear that song again, which I'm that way with some songs too, but you still got to rank it properly, right? You still got to recognize the greatness. Usually these overplayed songs are overplayed for a reason, right? Because they're great. Even if we're sick of hearing them, you got to be objective and put them up here. So kudos to Ian for that. On its second release, it found success, but it sadly only went to number 2 in the charts, as Chesney Hawkes is the one and only kept it off the top spot. That song has appeared in the top 10 previously in one of our other patron, Evan David's top 10s. Apparently, clubbers in the 90s would respond to this track by sitting down on the dance floor. That's not something I would have risked at the Happy Wednesdays club night in Milton Keynes, as sitting on the floor there would generally mean sticking to it. This was written in the autumn of 1988 by the band's lead singer, Tim Booth, during a difficult time when he was feeling lonely and depressed. He was encouraged by a book by Doris Lessing and by Patti Smith's music, which helped him to realize he wasn't on his own feeling the way he did. The song was a thank you to them. In an interview with the Daily Record all the way in June of 2004, Booth said, "Sit Down is about me feeling so alone in my 20s and reading books by a writer called Doris Lessing, which made me realize I wasn't. It was about being awake at 4 a.m. and having no one to talk to." Sit Down is our biggest hit in Britain, but it isn't worldwide. Booth told Uncut Magazine in 2021, "We play it when we can play it with passion, because for us, the whole gig is more important than one song. Having said that, I know it's been a really important song for people in lockdown. We were COVID lockdown at the time. It comforts people, so I could see us entering a period coming out of a lockdown where we'll want that sense of unity and connection. And boy, wasn't that the truth. All right, Sit Down. A really, really catchy song and a good message to it. I'd never heard this song, right? So it's kind of interesting. So I don't like it as well as Getting Away with It All because I've never heard it. But if you're in the UK, you're like, dude, like I've heard this song a bazillion times. So I get that. A well done video. Ironically enough, it's life imitating art, right? Because in the video, the dogs are coming in, sitting down, they're under the chair. And while I was watching this video, my door to my office here where I film comes bursting open, and here comes my dog under my chair. I kid you not, it's life imitating art. But really catchy, really well done. I can see how it's kind of a unifying song for people as well. Now, before we get to my favorites, let's look at what was left off of the list. Ian said there's a lot more that could have been on there, specifically All the Colors of You. Moving On, I actually know that song. Curse, Curse, Many Faces, Beautiful Beaches. The list could be much longer, he says. He also says James are a band that have had a long and successful career, having come out of the creative furnace. It was Manchester in the 80s and 90s, selling millions of records and are still producing highly engaging albums even after 40 years. Would probably make it into my favorite 10 bands still performing. So that's high praise for me, and Ian knows a ton about music. So we'll get to my faves. There's a lot of them. Honorable mentions: Destiny Calling, Zero, the one from a couple years ago, Say Something. My faves are going to be the top 4 songs: She's a Star, Wade, Getting Away with It All, and Sit Down. My favorite's Getting Away with It All, but once again, familiarity plays a part in that. A shout out to the guys. I didn't really shout out the guys. We got Jim Glennie on bass. Obviously, Tim on lead is the guy that drives this thing on lead vocals. We also have Adrian Oxel on lead guitar on a lot of these. And drumming by David Baton Power. They had some different artists roll through. Saul Davies on rhythm guitar, acoustic, violin, percussion, backing vocals. Mark Hunter on the keys on most of these. Andy Diagram was on the trumpet, percussion, backing vocals on some of these. So we got a lot of different people rolling through here. Early on, we had Gavin Whelan on the drums. And I think I'm just trying to make sure I got kind of everybody. And Larry Gott was on lead guitar, acoustic, keyboards, flute, and backing vocals for a decade, and then came back. And so anyway, you have a lot of different artists, but Tim is the constant there. So I really super enjoyed this list. I appreciate Ian cultivating this list. Very difficult to do on these bands that have a lot of stuff. Let me know what you think of this list below. But be nice, man, because these things are hard, right? So give Ian some kudos for this. What else would you listen to by James? And until next time, guys, I will see you.